Hey there, YouTubers. I'm going to make this what I call a newcomers gathering, and I'm going to do that periodically. It's more for people who've never checked my channel, so they see the title Newcomers Welcome something, and it's more introductory. But then if you've watched my videos, you know what's here. It's not going to be boring, it's going to be the same. So if you didn't find it boring before, it won't be boring now. I'll jump around as usual. I want to show people that I have a YouTube channel, first of all, that has a lot of stuff. And there are different ways to look at my videos. Let's see, this is channel content. There's a dashboard. I'm showing you what YouTube looked like in, okay, what day is today? July 17th of 2022. So I'm very aware when I make YouTubes, they're like time capsules. And so I kind of like to show people snapshots of what it was like. I'm not real super private about, oh, what was showing on my home screen at the time. It's not my home screen. This is what YouTube thinks I might want to watch next. And it shows up with all this stuff. And sometimes it's right, but I use the search box a lot. And I want to just say one of my pet peeves piece of advice is don't just rely on these sort of magical algorithms to tell you what you want to watch or might want to watch. Be much more aggressive in searching for stuff based on other conversations you have with people all over the world, right? You're getting write things down or make a note. I got to check that out. It could be fun, a new comedian you've never heard of, who knows? But then go look for it. Don't sit around waiting for the algorithm to suggest it. That's like going out on the beach and just hoping the grains of sand that are right there are worth your time when you've got, you really need to take advantage of your discriminatory powers, you could call them. Discrimination is a word that has an okay meaning and then a bad meaning. In other words, if you discriminate indiscriminately, then you're considered kind of a dweeb, right? You're like, you discriminate in the sense of you're racist or something on those lines. But to be discriminating and to discriminate in the positive sense is like you're really into good food, you're a foodie or a wino of the right type. I learned a new word for people who love wine, and it's weird word. Check it out. See if you can find it, and it kind of pronounces, if you look at it, wino. It kind of says wino. And then there's another word for lover of beer that I'd never heard of. I'm going to take valuable time and check that up. Check that out. Lover of beer. I live in Portland, Oregon, and our economy is beer. Cannabis is big here. I mean, there's shops everywhere, and I do what's called on this channel place-based education, which if you're an educator, you've heard of for a long time. But it means, oh wow, this is even another one, Cervezophile. I like that, but there's another one. I think it starts with a Z. Here we go. Zythophile. Zythophile. So enough about me. If you look through my channel, you will find where I walk around my neighborhood, often showing slides. This is the thing. I have a still camera I'm very happy with in addition to my cell phone. And I love to take pictures, and I have pushing 70,000 pictures on the web at this time. And I often show those in the course of these videos. Oh, by the way, just, to comment a little bit on my home screen, let's scroll down a little bit. After saying I don't rely on the algorithm a lot, I do, sometimes pick just whatever's showing here. I could say I haven't watched most of these, and I probably will not, but sometimes, right? So just giving you a sense, again, of where we were in those times. You can kind of see where my head was, right? Work backwards. This is the algorithm. Now this guy, we've seen, so I won't give it away. No spoiler alert here, but I do pick up on some of these stories of inner circles and cabals and so forth. Okay, what I'm going to do right now there's Camtasia. I'm really thinking a new Camtasia on the newer laptop that a hand-me-down from my daughter would be a good thing. Like, let's get the new Camtasia on that other computer. But for now, I'm starting Jupyter Lab, and this is another topic I want to show you because it's very characteristic of what goes on. Now, what is Jupyter Lab? You may or may not know. It's a Python ecosystem thing, or started that way. It's gotten to support a lot of languages. And having just hit that, it's supposed to be booting a process. And what's supposed to happen is new Windows just going to appear magically, a new tab here on my web browser. But while we're waiting for that to happen, let me finish up with, here it comes already. As that boots, there'll be a logo. Let's go check the logo, the Jupyter logo. Okay, kind of advertising here. I'll take a sip of coffee. I want to jump in on the Bucky Fuller stuff because that's big about, my channel's big on that stuff. I'm a Pythonista. That's how we like to refer to ourselves, as Python programmers. And I code in other languages. I had a career as a coder long before Python existed. But I like it as a language. It's a fun language, and I teach it quite a bit. And Jupyter Notebooks have to do with Python. But then I majored in philosophy at Princeton University, coming from the Philippines, where I went to high school. Very good international school of Manila, is excellent school. And so I was, privileged and prepared. I'd been in a high school in Florida, Bradenton, so I could contrast, what a lot of people get as a public school experience in high school isn't anything close to what the international schools are able to deliver. If you have an international school that you can join, I recommend it, even if you're in the middle of some place that doesn't have any coastline or whatever. I mean, if you're landlocked in the middle of nowhere, you can still have an international school if you can bring people from outside because they're interested in living internationally or globally, and wherever you are, that's global. By the way, I'm showing this Transcendentalist page, which has changed its name from a particular year to Transcendental Concord. So I think they're more focused on that geographic area, place-based again, but I've been on there for a while, and I've just put Bucky's dedication on Grunch of Giants to his great aunt, Margaret Fuller Asoli. And I've been studying her life, and in this video channel, we do go back and talk about her going back to Italy and what was going on in Rome at the time, and kind of her ambivalence. What I'm saying here, just to tie it all up for you guys, is that I don't see Fuller as a transcendentalist because in literary history we don't have those anymore. In other words, he could have been starting out in the era very close to when the last transcendentalist died, but in literary history we just say that time is over and we keep naming the times as we go forward. I think he's a bohemian, and I back that up with my link to a blog post on Romany Marie in Greenwich Village and the cohort he was in, hanging out with her at Greenwich Village in that time, who else was there in his age range and so on, makes him a bohemian, really. I mean, given when he was born. And I also characterize his politics, like here in this thread, we're talking about how he's a Unitarian, but I want it to be clear from Tetrascroll that he did write sort of alternative Genesis story, which I get into, right? It's so I say there's no way I'd categorize Fuller a Unitarian and walk away without mentioning Tetrascroll, limited edition, gigantic triangular pages, containing his, quote, cosmic fairy tale, unquote, alt Genesis story, in which Adam is to Eve as man is to boat. A boat flipped over on the shore for shelter turns ribs into eaves. The possibility of circumnavigation being the forbidden knowledge, conveyed by an ocean dragon reminding us of yet older civilizations than the one behind Genesis. This is, a pretty close reading, actually. If you get Tetrascroll, which you can buy in paperback, as limited edition. It was big, right? You don't just go to a bookstore and buy Tetraschool. I'm jumping to a picture of it. And Jupiter Lab has opened, so we'll come back and look at that. So Python for high schoolers is something I'm teaching right now. And what I'm doing is putting a lot of segues between Fuller's philosophy, which I talk about here on Quora. How did Buckminster Fuller think? I also did a smattering of comments on Quora regarding Bucky recently. I don't know if I can get back to those comments easily through the GUI here, through the web. Like, can I look at my old comments? But it's easy to look at things I've written as answers, which are at a higher level than comments. And I thought this one was good enough to post to Synergio, and so I'll put a link to both the Synergio and the Quora versions of this. They should be identical in terms of typos if there are any, and so on. And I'm ambivalent about having said it was a spell checker suggestion. Christian Greece Roman. It's probably Christian Greco Roman would be happier, and Christian Greek Roman would be even better. But I'm going to leave it. It was the spell checker who wanted that, and so I said, okay, that's what you want. Usually I fight the spell checker. And Beast, I haven't seen a lot of people capitalizing on that. Cosmography with Kiyoshi Kiramiya, it spells out that these are the modules, right, in Synergetics. Now, Synergetics, check that out on Wikipedia, make sure you get the right one, and it's very geometric. Very geometric, and this is what I'm trying to convey in my channel also. There's a ton of geometry here, which is why it works as a high school subject. And I'm also integrating Python into high school more as a language, right? Not as the be-all, end-all. There's many languages. This is one of them. It will help you a lot in learning, getting up to speed on where the culture is in terms of what computers are all about. And that's important in high school. So I mix it with math. It's a hybrid of what we could call computer science and math. It's not currently a public school topic or track. The kind of teaching I do is experimental, and it's in private schools right now. But I'm an avatar, a pusher, you could say, in a good sense, I hope, of this curriculum. I try to get it out there more. I created Oregon Curriculum Network for that purpose. I have a 4D Solutions private company that funds it with help from sponsors. A lot of people are into this. They just don't have an organization that they know is pushing effectively. So I like to say I am being very effective here, extremely effective. In both integrating the Bucky stuff into ordinary discourse, like in high school where we learn our own history as Americans, it's got to be there, and how it connects to the math, right? How his geometry is interesting and worthy of study. And if you go to a school and they charge you a lot of money and they give you what they would call a generic degree in something, probably it should have included, touched on this, like if you're getting a degree in the visual arts, and you don't look at the concentric hierarchy, Bucky's geometry, American history, philosophy. These are all topics that overlap with the Bucky stuff. And this many years after he's died in 1983, it's time to get on the ball here, if not too late. There's Tetrascroll. In its case, limited edition. You can find pictures on the web where it's all opened out and so on. I'm saying, don't just write him off as like your average, like, okay, he's a Unitarian. What does that mean? The guy's a philosopher. He didn't just sit around and accept what other people told him, right? He's self-made in a lot of ways. The ultimate self-made man in many ways. And there's been kind of a smear campaign against him, you'll find, and make him be a failure. Don't follow Bucky. It's a disaster, blah, blah. We can talk more. I'm here. That's what I talk about. All right. Talk to you later.